Thank you. So, thank you for inviting me. My name is Ferdinando. And as Tina said, I am a magic experience designer, which means that I design magical experiences, waiving my two professional backgrounds as a mechanical engineer and as a performing magician or conjurer. And so what is a magic experience? In my mind, a magical experience is an experience where I design context and spaces where people can experience something surprising, something unusual, something magical, something that brings you out of your normal context, and hopefully you're going to catch new slices of reality that were not under your radar in the first place, which is hopefully what is going to happen in the next 45 minutes or so. So the title of today's talk is The Magician Leadership, and basically it means what it means to think and act like a magician. So we are trying to address the issue, the idea of leadership, and how it's been evolving in the last few years, and hopefully it will be an entertaining experience for you. So let's start with the Twitter version of this talk. A magician leader is someone who is able to navigate reality in an artful way, open to possibilities, keeping his mind open to what is going to happen for the benefit of the whole. So this is the concept we are going to elaborate upon. Now, the basic assumption is that, let's start with an image. First of all, let's address the elephant in the room. Why would we use the word magic or the word magician? Because if you bear with me till the end of it, the language of magic, it's a very rich language that allow you to conceive and to manifest magical things. So basically, it's a language that will allow you to tap into the unordinary slices of reality. Now, if we chart, like you see, the spectrum of the electromagnetic field, basically what you can hear and what you see, it's a very tiny slice of the full spectrum. So put it in another word, our ordinary experience, so what we see and what we hear, it's a very tiny slice of what exists, which we generally are not able to access. So put it in a different way, this image is another way of tapping into the idea that there is a huge share of reality which we do not know and we are not even aware of it. And talking about magic is a way of accessing the rest of the unexplored possibilities. So talking about the language of magic is another way of going outside our comfort zone, just because magic is exactly where it's going to happen, outside our comfort zone. Now, we know that our model of reality is made up of many pieces that are useful for us to navigate reality, but at the same time we use many assumptions, many of which are useful, but many of other are supposed to be called into question to go beyond them. So let me share with you this piece of video created by an English psychology professor called Richard Wiseman, who is also a magician, and most of his work lies at the boundary of perception, psychology, and magic. So take a look at this. This is what we mean when we talk about assumptions. Well, this is a playful and fun and visual way to remind ourselves that this is also, besides this three-dimensional illusion, our perception of reality is made up of many assumptions, and we are here to try to question some of them. Now, to put it in another way, to use a quote by the English visionary poet William Blake, may God us keep from single vision and Newton's leap. So according to Blake was particularly angry with Newton's discoveries on optics because he thought that Newton somehow reduced vision only to its mechanical and physiological aspects, while Blake thought that vision is something broader, and we are here to see how we can see beyond, and to see beyond doesn't happen through our own eyes. So one of the I'm going to reveal you a few secrets of magic, which I consider such, and in order to discover some of these secrets that will allow us to see beyond and then find some sort of connections with the idea of leadership, one of the most powerful tools to see beyond our normal reality is the arts. So the power of the arts, especially in the last few years, it's becoming mainstream as an important tool to nurture leadership. So the aesthetic experience is considered an important ingredient, not just a nice to have, but an important ingredient to complete your whatever leadership means, to lead yourself and others in ways that are new compared to the past. So we know that in the past years, leadership meant something pretty straightforward. The leader gave directions or orders or instructions, and someone else executed them. Nowadays, to be a leader means something more complex, and to be in tune with the timings that we are living in, we are addressing the issue of leadership in new ways. So the idea of the power of the arts is definitely a very important ingredient, just because, as Oscar Wilde said, that what we see and how we see it depends on the arts that have influenced us. So it's historically a training in the liberal arts has been considered a fundamental ingredient to see reality and to expand your perception of it in ways that are totally magical. I recently came across an interesting paper from the American Journal of Medicine. And basically, the title of this is The Use of Fine Arts to Enhance Visual Diagnostic Skills. So this is just one of the many papers that address the fact that exposing yourself to arts in whatever format will allow you to become more sensitive to the complexities of reality and transcend the more superficial aspects of it. So according to this study, the medicine students who've been exposed to arts in a very specific way increased by 25% their diagnostic skills. So this is one of the few quantitative studies that pointed towards how very practically being exposed to arts will enhance your reading of the world, and in this case, how you can interpret a patient situation. Now, the fact that the arts can have an impact on how we see reality and how we can incorporate arts in our professional life, in this case, I just want to quote Steve Jobs, and this is by the way, this is the cover of The Economist, the first cover of The Economist since Steve Jobs died, and they titled The Magician, of course, as a tribute. Now, it's very well known the impact that Steve Jobs had on our culture, on his whole. Now, let me just quote this piece straight from his words. Now, it's already a known fact that this separation between art and science is something wrong. Basically, it's not two opposites. And I found it beautifully captured, the essence of this idea, in the words of Buckminster Fuller, who said that when I'm working on a problem, I never think about beauty. But when I've finished, if the solution is not beautiful, I know it is wrong. So this is another way of trying to address the fact that exposing yourself to art and beauty in whatever format, it's a very key ingredient to bring the concept of leadership, personal leadership, and towards others to its next level. Now, this is the moment of the trivia of the day. Did you know that at some point around the 16th century, some of my European ancestors thought that California was, as a matter of fact, an island? I found this piece of information quite interesting. And by the way, this has been a long-held misconception that went viral. Well, whatever viral meant at that time. And people stick to it. Now, I found maps pretty fascinating tools. Maps are fascinating tools to make sense out of external reality and to navigate into reality. Well, nowadays, all the maps that we have to chart external reality are quite accurate. As a matter of fact, very few maps to make sense of our evolving social and cultural background are meaningful. So it's always more and more difficult to draw maps to make sense out of a very complex, evolving landscape. Now, as someone say, we live in a VUCA world. Have you heard the word VUCA?